Welcome to another episode of the Physically Jacked and Financially Stacked podcast. Today it's a pleasure to have Mr. Shane O'Sullivan. Shane is an online coach. He's part of the 7-Figure Scaling Systems Mastermind and is an amazing guy I've met out here in Dubai. Incredibly passionate about fitness, business, being jacked and being tanned. So I thought it would be a great guest to share his experience and come onto the podcast. So thank you very much for being here, Shane.
Thank you. Just like a Cheesecake Factory date, except no burgers and chips.
Yeah, people aren't supposed to know about that, but all we eat is chicken and rice, right?
Yeah, that's it.
You have a very interesting story, Shane. So, and I know it'll be very inspirational. So a lot of people know my backstory in terms of I went from being like an estate agent 5-6 years ago to building one of the biggest online fitness businesses in the world. What's your background in terms of where you came from in Ireland?
Okay, so probably heading back like 13 years. You know, you said it before we started, stuck in the matrix. So the 9-to-5 slog of a bank. I spent actually 3 years in a car dealership, right, selling cars, and then I moved on to a bank. So I worked 13 years in the bank while training. So that was my background. I was always in the financial industry, the financial sector. So not a lot of people know that. They think just to go trains, but yeah, banking was my gig.
And what was the caveat for you coming out of the banking system?
So I think there's multiple things. Number one, I was sick of being a slave to somebody else, right? You know, I was sick of being, on the watch, on the joystick, as people say, your lunch break here, being at this time, we need this, we need that, we need this. And I got to a stage in my life, Charlie, where I was like, I'm too old for this. I'm too old to be taking orders from people, listening to this, and we need to do more, and you bring your best on a Friday morning to these meetings. Phenomenal week, and it's not good enough. And I said, this life isn't for me, And I think things were a lot different back then, because you came from the same background. It's social media wasn't a thing, I'm not going to say influencer, but like online coaching wasn't a thing. We were kind of almost railroaded into thinking, okay, we're going to get a job, we're going to work a 9-to-5, we're going to get a pension, we'll get a mortgage, we'll be secure, we'll have the family, and that's your life set up, We'll hire, purchase the car, done, and that was it, it wasn't a choice. I forged into that pathway. But as time progressed and social media got bigger, and I always had a passion for training, for fitness. I saw avenues, and I thought, guys were doing well, and I said, I think I can do something here, but it's not easy, when you've been there that long in one environment, it's hard to come out of it, So yeah, took the plunge.
What was the major, was there any defining moments for me, I remember there's a couple of things, right? It's ironic, I moved to Dubai because the first time I made some money, I saved some money from my PayPal account from online coaching. This might have been like 2017.
Yeah.
And I paid for a trip to Dubai for me and my partner for my PayPal account.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is fucking baller. I just paid for a holiday to Dubai for online coaching. So I was like, this is sick.
Love it.
And then ironically, I ended up moving to Dubai 4 or 5 years later full time. And it's funny how things come out of full circle. But
yeah,
that for me was a big thing. And then suddenly when I started making more money from the side hustle than the main gig,
yeah,
I was like, maybe I should be just going and do this full time. And the most powerful moment of my life I'll always remember is when I walked out my full-time job and then my boss called me saying, you have to come back. And I was like, no, I'm not coming back. And then I was literally, that's the moment I realized as long as I don't ever fuck up again and I back myself, I never actually have to listen to anyone else. And I can do what I want, when I want, on my with who I want on my own terms.
Yeah, 100%. It's funny, right? Because you say defining moments. And I remember, I think it was when I gave up my banking job, I think New Year's Eve, I think it was 2018. And there was one moment, like 5 minutes before we left, closing at 3:00, the bank, right? And again, they used to mock me in the bank because they used to say, look, you're part-time, and I had a responsible role as business manager there, part-time banker, full-time athlete. And I loved it, it was great, because I was out, when I was doing marathons, I was doing 100 miles a week. I was, coming to my day job, I was waiting to get out and train again in the evening. But when you talk about defining moments, there was one moment on New Year's Eve back in 2018, it was the last day. And I remember I had an argument with one of the staff. It was just the most ridiculous argument. 2 minutes, I think about 2 minutes to 3 when we were closing up. And I said, I can't do this anymore. And I literally went into my office. I unloaded the locker. I closed the fucking thing, and I said, I'm never coming back here again. Never. I came home to Joanna. She was delighted. No, that left another problem. I had no job. I was coaching guys on the side, but you know what? Joanna was amazing back then because she was like, I'm working. You go train full time. She gave me the wings to fly. she was like, this is what you want to do. And I was like, yeah. So
That's an interesting story. Do you think without Joanna's backing of that, you would have done that?
oh no, like how many wives or girlfriends would support their partner saying, I'm packing in my job to go training full time? Because that's what I did. I literally trained full time at CrossFit for 1 year with the hope of either opening a gym or like just going to some kind of space where that allowed me to train. But like there's no, I don't think there's any female right in the head. But I thought she saw an avenue, and she was like, we can do this, So yeah, it was all part of the plan, but amazing,
Do you think having a supportive partner is one of the main things that's got you where you are now?
Yeah. 100%. Like I often say, like with Joanna, like I'm the monkey at the front, they pop me out the front, and people think I'm the hybrid physique, but Joanna is, she's the master behind. She's controlling everything. She's got all the systems done. She looks after everyone. Like, obviously I have my own roles within, important roles within the business, but without Joanna, I suppose that cog, it wouldn't be where it is. We wouldn't be where we are. She's been a fundamental part of this, like really has.
I think one of the things a lot of people don't understand when it comes to business, they see the highs, but they don't sometimes see the lows of like the shit that goes on. And that's as your business grows and creates more success, the highs become more extreme, the lows become more extreme, and that's something you have to learn to deal with. And that's something I've found challenging as my career has progressed. What have some of the lows been for you? I know one of them was you started opening a gym.
Being stone broke and failed gym opening. So, like running back, I suppose, to that time when I gave up my job, and I just I'm not going to be the guy who turns around here and said I gave up my job because I want to help people. I was coaching guys inside, but that wasn't my goal. It wasn't to build, to drive onto a 7-figure, business where we could change the life. All I wanted to do was train. I just wanted some avenue to allow me to train. I just want to train every day. That's all. Because I love training. As silly as that sounds, if someone said to me, Shane, you can have 500 pounds a week for the next 10 years and you've got to train full time, I'd be like, sign me up. But obviously things change as you go, So the idea there was to open a CrossFit gym, okay? So I suppose after that year, we kind of took proactive measures to open a gym, right? The Hybrid Physique project was actually formerly known as Gorilla Strength. That was actually a CrossFit affiliated brand, okay? So it was affiliated. We did everything, right, that we needed to do to actually open a CrossFit box. The last thing was actually locate a premises, right? We're at this for months. This is my passion. This is what I wanted to do. So found a premises. Funny story. Got everything fitted out. Had builders in, bank loans to sorted. I think the original fit out was about 80K with everything. It was a big investment. And about two days before we signed the contract, I think the second or third lockdown hit, and like it just fell apart. And I was like at the time, nothing worse. I didn't have an income. Joanna was working, and it was in the time of COVID as well. So her hours were sporadic. She was doing, Joanna's a psychologist, and yeah, it was just the worst thing in the world. I couldn't believe how I've put so much time into this, so much effort. We got everything. We paid for affiliation within, it's another $3,000. Everything was just. I put everything into it, and I just failed. And they said, look, we can look at it again maybe in 6 or 7, 8 months. I was like, okay, it is what it is. But that was low.
What would you say is the lesson you learned from that? Because I think from every shit thing that happens, there's always something you learn in hindsight.
I think just stay in the fight. Don't give up. Stay in the fight. I say it to everyone, stay in the fucking fight. I say it to all my clients, they're like, oh, I can't do this. You have to stay in the fight. No matter how bad things are, pick yourself up and drive on. Good things will happen. The wheel will turn. But we just have to stay in the fight, And that was it. We at that point in time, it was out of our control. And what I'd say to people is, you can turn anything around. We showed up. We still trained every day. We showed up, and opportunities. When you're positive and you do good things, opportunities come your way, and you have to think that way. But yeah, there's a way back from everything. And I do know that when you're at your fucking lowest, when you are at the bottom, the pit of the rabbit hole, there's only one fucking way up. That's it. And that motivates me, right?
I think one of the truest things as well is when your back's against the wall is often when creativity is the max, and you got no fucking choice, right?
What you got?
When your back's up against it, and you're starting to shit it, is when the rubber meets the road. It's time to fucking go, and you have to fucking work it out. And a sick, twisted part of me quite likes that.
Yeah,
When everything's
I love it.
When everything's going too well, sometimes I'm always excited for the next thing to fix, which is a really weird entrepreneurial mentality to have. But it's a challenge, and I think life is very much all about overcoming the challenges set in front of you. And in particular, when you run your own business, one of the biggest things is that you're always going to have like new challenges, and shit's just constantly going to go wrong, and it's just getting used to that roller coaster and just waiting for what's coming next.
Yeah, waiting for what's coming next. It's true. You know, it's like a workout. When you're stuck in the depths of a workout, the last thing you want to do is pick up that bar. You got to pick up the fucking bar. That's it, you know. You got to do what needs to be done. And like that, when your back is against the wall, it shows true character. What have you got? So, yeah.
And that's the expression of like separates the men from the boys. And that's why I often think is like, you can sit in training as well. Because you see when people just fucking flake out and give up. Like you're training someone, they get to 8 reps and they just stop. And like, what the fuck was that? You're like another 5. And like, oh, I'm done. And it's like, you're not done yet. Like, get back in the fucking seat and keep going. Like, people have so much more than they're capable of. And people don't understand that until they're put in an environment where people are going to push them and going to be at a higher level than them. That's going to drag them up. And I think that's one of the most important things, and something that I'm seeking in my life right now is people are maybe a little bit ahead of me, so then they're going to pull me up to their level rather than me trying to pull everyone up to my level, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good point, you know. And when you talk, and I know I'm kind of going sideways on this, but like, you know, if you really want to progress and build, and it's about, you know, getting in there with people who can rise you up, you know, and who can pull you along on the journey, you know, because it's not for everyone, you know. It's not like, and it's a hard road, you know. You've built one of the most successful fitness business in Europe. It's not easy, but people will look at it and they think it's easy. But you have to have the right people in the right seats and the right people helping you and dragging you along. And you know.
I think that's where entrepreneurship's been over glamorized, I think, to some degree, and it's not for everyone. I think, and I can see it in people as soon as I speak to them straight away. It's like, you're not cut out for this, just from the questions they ask and the way they answer them. Like, I know straight away, and you can. Something train, you look at someone's eyes, you know they fucking got it, they're not got it.
Oh yeah.
And that's
you know he's done before you even start.
That's something people are either built with or they're not built with. And like when it comes to entrepreneurship, a lot of that is risk tolerance, because no risk, no reward is a very true thing when it comes to business. You have to be willing to try something, in expecting it's probably going to fail. But I'll try 10 things. 10 or like 9 might fail, but 1 might be fucking killer.
Yep.
In a business, you can hit 1 home run that's equivalent of like 1,000 home runs. And as soon as you do that, you suddenly realize you don't have to win everything. You just have to win 1 that's such a big win that it fucking wipes out everything else.
Yeah, you know, and that's a great point. It's you know, like entrepreneurship has been absolutely glamorized, but it's you know, it's what happens behind the scenes. You know, it's what happens behind the scenes, and you're the same, right? Every day is laden down with stress, and you're going to have 9 bad days for 1 good day. You know, you'll have 1 good day. Every other day is empty leads, bad calls. You know,
people not showing up for calls.
People not showing up for calls. You know, systems, something is down. Problem with some client eating a frog. You know, it's just constant, but people don't see that. You know, so it's not for everyone. And I realize that. You know, I want to pack into business. You know, we go through things. There's 1 or 2 points in every day. You said you probably want to pack into business. You know, I can't do this anymore. But you know, they quickly pass, and we move forward. You know,
and that reminds me of one of my favourite sayings. And it's I thought about this a lot when I was getting divorced. It's like it's not about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain, because everything that shit's going on. If anyone's struggling right now, it will come to an end. Like you just need to keep putting in the daily actions and thinking about what outputs of what you do every day creates the end result. Focus on just keep doing those and you will get momentum. Where I see people go wrong is where the same happens in fitness. People get discouraged and then they stop doing the outputs to get the result in the first place, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that's where it's so true in terms of what you think about you will become. And that's when I actually was in the Maldives, I read 6 books in 4 days, and one of the books I was actually read was Wes Watson's one, which there was a lot of swearing in, but it just kept hitting home on like a positive mental attitude.
Yeah.
And since I come back, I feel very refreshed. And whenever I'm getting a bit of a shitty mood, I think PMA, like just be positive, and then positive things will come to you.
100%. You know what? That's one of the things, because it's easy to kind of, especially when you have your own business and there's a lot going on. You know, a bad day you can't just turn around. You have to keep that positive. You know, you have to keep doing the same process, do the same actions, and it does turn around. But going back to what you said there previously about, you know, taking risk, taking a chance, going hard, going heavy. it's a big thing, you know.
And that's what I think it's one of the most exciting things about life, though, is you don't necessarily know how it's going to pan out. And rather than being worried, what if it goes wrong, or wonder what if it goes right? So, for example, like we both come from corporate backgrounds, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what if I left my job and it went really shit? I just go back to being an estate agent. I'm in the same fucking position as the first place.
Yeah.
What if it does go right? I get to live the life of my dreams, move to Dubai, travel around the world, do whatever I like.
100%.
So what would you rather prefer?
Take a chance. Take a chance. And, you know, for both of us, we embrace those chances. Like, we've nothing to lose. What's the worst case scenario? End up in this situation again where I'm not happy. I want to train. I haven't got a life of abundance or freedom. You know, freedom is, you know, people talk about, you know, what's the most important thing? You know, financial, build up this, you know, very successful financial business. Freedom to go, get up in the morning. If I want to train, if I want to work, that for me was a massive thing, you know. And like, obviously financial freedom is another thing, but just let's start with freedom, you know, getting up, not being answering to anyone. And that's, we both come from those backgrounds where people are telling us, you know, come do this, you know, and just to be in a situation where I don't do that. I tell people what to do now, you know, and that's it. But taking a chance.
What would you say is one of the biggest things? Obviously, you moved from Ireland to Dubai. What was the reason why, and how do you think that's changed you or helped you?
Okay. So, like, not a lot of people would probably know that this month is actually the 2nd anniversary of the Hybrid Physique project. So we're only actually, I think it probably was maybe 2 years ago that we were acquiring our first set of clients. Like, while we had all the experience and training, I was coaching guys as well through the years on the side, but in terms of actually formulating the online platform, it's 2 years. So we were 6 months into actually having the business when we decided to move to Dubai, it was kind of bold, it was aggressive. And I remember at the time, my mentor at the time kind of said to me, look, what you're doing is great, but it's just not, it's not inspiring anyone. I was sitting in the apartment, I was walking to the gym, I was walking back, and that was it. You know, it wasn't glamorous. It wasn't, not that it has to be glamorous, but it wasn't inspiring anyone. It's not taking a chance. It's not getting in training with other guys, meeting you, you know, meeting other guys that are gonna bring you to the next level. You know, I was kind of at 11. There's no point being the biggest fish in the, you know, I go into the gym, fit the strongest guy. I'm like, it's not right. You know, you need to go in and be hanging out the back door, these guys, you know. So we had a conversation, and Dubai was kind of kicking off. It was a great place to be, great opportunities of training, networking, like-minded people. Like, it's very, you know, people want, it's busy, it's stressful, people want to progress. Everyone's on it every day. So I came out here. We actually came out here for 2 months to see what it was like. And I think within about 3 weeks, I was like, look, let's move the business over here, let's do it. There was very little thought to it, you know. Went home, packed up, and said, look, we need to do this. We need to do this because, again, right, like, what's the worst that's going to happen? We're going to stay in Ireland. We're going to make X amount of money. We're going to train, be the best in our gym, or we can get out here. We can meet new people. We can leverage the business. We can, you know, create massive amount of opportunities out here. But I was, I'm not going to say I was pushed into it. I was, again, somebody said to me, look, mentor, you need to do better. You need to do better. And it was the greatest thing at the time, you know. It put me out of my comfort zone because it was a stage where I was like, oh, will we, won't we? And we took it, and look what happens, you know. Take chances, and you don't know what's going to happen, you know.
And I think it's one of the things is you got to jump with both feet. Whereas I think sometimes people want to try and keep one foot in the boat whilst one foot on the beach, and it's like if you already have that approach and you've got a plan B, then it's probably going to fail because you're not fully committed to what you should be doing.
Yeah.
And like for me, when I came here, I fucking burnt everything. I'm all in, like the rocket ship to the moon, or the rocket's going to blow up. Like, yeah. And that's always been my mentality. And part of that, one of the things I've learned is to think about the real worst case scenario. Say I lost everything financially, I really fucked up big time somehow. Yeah. Worst comes to worst, my parents live in Marbella in Spain. I would just go and live with them, and I live in Marbella, and I just get trained and be in the sun anyway. So it's like, okay, that's not that bad. I just PT people and live there. So the reality is, what am I actually afraid of? And when you start to break down what's the worst case scenario, it's never really that bad. It's never really that bad, you know. Like again, if you have to go with the 2 feet in, you know. I remember actually when we landed in Dubai, we couldn't find our accommodation. We got a street name, but the street was like 2 miles long, so we were in a taxi for like 2 hours, trying to find the actual hotel. Couldn't find it. So I remember it was 4:45. It was just after a long flight. I was sitting on the suitcase eating 2 grenade bars. I was thinking,
looking up, I was like, fuck, Joanna, what the fuck do we do? Maybe I should be back home. But you know what it is? It was one of those moments I was like, I'm here now. Let's fucking go. Yeah. You know, let's do it.
You've committed. And I think that commitment is one of the things that will see you through.
Yeah, 100% with everything, you know. And it's not just business, it's training. You know, you have to, you know, pick your goal. What are we doing? And go for it, you know. And don't waver off that, you know.
To come into some training questions, what does training mean to you?
I mean, if you asked me this 2 years ago, I'd probably say life. Training is life. It still is, you know. Training is huge for me. You know, I started training. I'm 39 next week. I probably started training probably when I was 15 or 16. Training for me probably for the first, you know, was that like 23 years ago, I think. Was a lot different. You know, there was no Instagram, there was no YouTube, there was no Facebook. You go into the gym and you just do what you think you can do, right? There's no education there. But training has always been a massive part of my life. It's always anchored whatever I do. Like I find if I train well, business is good. If I train well, my work was good. If I was happy in training, my relationships were good. Everything was kind of hinged on training. Probably not a good way to be. It still is a little bit like that, if I'm honest. Like it does. It is the anchor to my day on a daily basis, no doubt. Like it has taken a little bit of a back step over the last probably 2 years because business has come in. That's my priority, you know. But I think, you know, maybe towards the end of the year, I'm going to start challenging myself again across, you know, fitness events and competitions. I want to start doing that. But it does anchor my life. Training does. It keeps me level, you know.
How do you find the mindset you have from training and then carries over into your business?
Amazing. Like, I mean, I always talk about like, you know, like having this like high performing mindset right across all levels. I feel like for me, if I'm dominating training, if I'm going out and dominating runs, if I'm a beast in the gym, I'm lifting heavy, I'm going to come home, I'm going to fucking dominate business. I'm aggressive on the calls. Let's fucking go. Come on, motivated. And then if I take a step back and I'm just, you know, going through the motions of training and, you know, it just kind of passes on to my life, everything's slow-paced business. So for me, and I think for a lot of people, you have to try and perform high level across all areas, you know. High level, you know, you have to be pushing the boundaries. You're the same, you know. We had this conversation, you know. You push it to the extreme when you were shredded in Romania, you know, within an inch of your life, extreme. And that's that high-performing mindset, high-performing actions around training. You're the same. Does it reflect on business? Damn fucking right it does, you know.
So that's one of the beautiful things for me, and that's what I love about fitness, is that like you have complete control of that, right? So it's like, how fucking shredded can I get completely within my control? Business, you have less like control. And one of the things that actually is going to make you most happy in life is what's called locus of control, and that's your mental belief in terms of how much control you have over your life.
Yeah.
So when you start to feel like your locus of control is really strong and you can control where you're going, you'll inherently be happier, more confident, and you will actually then get more progress because you feel like you're in charge of your own destiny. Yeah. So having control of your own locus of control is one of the best things that people can have. And that's one of the things I try and, from fitness, always help people to get, and now into the business aspects, helping people that as well. Because when you have absolute clarity of, this is where I want to go and these are the steps to get there, you then have clarity of, okay, these are 2 to 3 things I need to think about every single day. Yeah. And one of the best things, like even since coming back to Maldives, I started writing down. I used to do this differently, but I changed it recently. It's that I'll write down, I am worth X amount of money. My net worth is blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I have X amount of mastermind clients. I have X amount of fitness clients. I drive X car to the gym. So like you're speaking in present tense about yourself. Yeah. And then the language you speak about yourself is very powerful, then will inherently become true because you start to believe it.
Yeah. Yeah, totally agree. You didn't train in Maldives, did you?
No, because I was sick. But I worked in my town a lot other than getting horrendously sunburnt. And this is actually a massive hack I'd recommend for anyone if possible. If you get your business to this point, is where one of the worst things that happens in the world right now, and I became really aware of this from the second time I've done this, is your inability to think for yourself. So your own thoughts aren't actually your own thoughts, because your own thoughts that you're thinking about are based upon what you've seen on social media, what someone said to you, what you've read somewhere. If you actually take all that shit away for 4 days, you don't read anything from like outside social media crap, you don't have anyone message you on WhatsApp, you can then actually start to regain your own thoughts of like, where am I going in life? What do I really want? What's important to me? How the fuck am I going to get there? Yeah. When you start to get that back, it then gives you extreme clarity in terms of like, okay, this is where I'm going, this is where I'm come from. I feel happy where I'm at, but this is the next steps to get there. And I think for anyone listening to this, if you've never done that before, I had 4 or 5 days, no phone at all, and it was beautiful. And the same thing last
I noticed
year.
you weren't on the stories.
No,
I was
no,
like,
nothing.
You okay? But you know what? You said this. Like, I truly believe, because the first thing people generally do, right, and I used to do a lot, I've pulled back from it, is you pick up your phone the first thing in the morning. You're automatically influenced. Your mindset is influenced by what you consume straight away on this thing, right? It's poisonous. And, you know, I've muted 95% of people I follow. So I've only got a very select people that I'll see, because that can benefit me educational-wise. But you can pick up the phone, you can be influenced, and your pathway might be, you know, influenced several times throughout the day from what you consume on this thing, you know?
And I also think what happens inherently with that is comparison syndrome. So I don't give a shit who you are, like what level you are. Like I get that, other people get there more advanced than me, because you never look back, you only look up. So you feel inferior because you haven't achieved X, Y, or because you haven't got a certain car, or because you don't look a certain way. And that's actually has a lot of damage to you in some respects, rather than actually motivating. So I think a very important thing for anyone listening to this, if you have anyone who you follow who doesn't actually add value, then that's someone that I would try and alleviate from your life
To get rid of.
you.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you know, I hate to say, but like, you know, you probably started training years ago when Instagram wasn't a thing. Training was a lot more pure, you know. You train for yourself, you know, not for the Instagram or for other people, you know. Like I had this conversation with Joanna recently, and I said, I remember when I was doing one marathon in 2013. I was doing 100 miles a week, right? I used to get up in the morning, right? I used to get up at 6 o'clock. I'd be up at 5:30. I'd be in the car at 6, and I'd be sitting ready to bang out 24 miles on a Sunday at 6:10, right? On my own, no music, no phone, nothing, right? Just me, 24 miles. The watch, I can stop when the watch goes 24, right? There was no posting on social media. No one knew it. The only person who knew it was me. That was it. If I said to guys today, go out and train, do whatever training, you can't post about it, you can't tell anyone. Who's training for themselves? Nobody. Who's getting into stage condition for themselves? Nobody. You know, who's putting these miles in? Nobody. So people have to look at that as well, you know. You know,
it's what you do when no one's watching.
No, exactly.
But you can't fucking lie to yourself.
You can't lie to yourself
because you know whether you fucking yeah. But like I'm the same. Like I know when I cheated on my diet, my prep, when I haven't gone out of bed to do work, or like when I haven't done it. Like you inherently know, and that's ultimately setting yourself up for failure. But the more you become aware of that, the more you can start to control it and realize that again. You want your thoughts to be your own thoughts, not someone else's thoughts. That you're running 24 miles, taking a screenshot, and then putting it on Instagram stories. To
people do it. Like I get it. Like it's nice to show people, look, I'm working hard and putting the work. It does inspire people, of course it does. But are you really doing it for yourself?
What's your why?
What's your why? That's the thing. So yeah, look, we can question things on Instagram all day long. What's your thoughts on social media these days in terms of fitness?
I think it's gone backwards a lot, and I don't know really how to quite put words to it, but I think everyone's like a fucking sheep and then copies everyone else. Yeah. So like, it's just like a roundabout of no one has anything new or different to say, and it's repeating the same bullshit. And I think a lot of it's gotten quite stale in that respect. I also think some of the platforms don't help in terms of the way they're working, what gets rewarded more. I used to like Instagram more actually when you used to have more like images that were pushed and then like long form copy and text, because people can talk more in terms of like the reality of things, and text I think is important. But I think where so many people are going wrong now is they don't actually try and help people. So all the content I try and make on fitness wise is just like value for people, teaching stuff, rather than like, look how good I am, look how fucking strong I am, look how fast I am, because that doesn't really help anyone. And if you're an online trainer looking to get clients, then the reality is, you want someone to be someone people look up to, but you also, if you give people away stuff for free that helps them, they'll inherently feel reciprocity back to you to then want to come to you for help, because you've shown how knowledgeable you are. Yeah,
and like that's a good point, because if you take that mindset, right, of trying to help somebody, right, because people need help, right, that's no doubt. Like we've all been in a situation where we're not confident, we're not in a good place, and we need somebody to help us, right? You know, you help people grow their business because people need help, right, and they're passionate about it. And I think people need to look at trying to help. If you have all this information and knowledge and you can actually genuinely help somebody, you're almost selfish not giving it to them, you know? Give it to them. Like, you know, if I'm making my breakfast in the morning, and sometimes I'm the same, I don't share stuff. And, you know, if you have some tips for people and you say, look, this might help you, you know, start your day better, share it with them. But people have come away from that, like value sharing or giving. It's all about, I maybe massaging their own egos a little bit.
It's funny you said that, because what you said then about giving away what you know is what I was hesitant to do for business for a long period of time. Yeah. Because I didn't want to be that guy fucking selling business coaching or any bullshit.
Yeah.
But then the amount of people now say thank you so much, like you've changed my life, you've helped me overcome X, Y, Z. And I'm like, that means more to me than anything, because I was that guy 4 or 5 years ago who was stuck in the fucking merry-go-round, really stressed, anxious, didn't know what to do, didn't have any clarity on what to do next. Yeah. Whereas like I've been through all the hurdles of where everyone wants to go. I know where you're going to get stuck, and I know what that feels like and looks like. Yeah. And unless you've been there in that situation, it's difficult for someone else to really give you advice. And that for me is like how I've progressed my career with everything, is wherever I need help or whatever I want to achieve, I'll go to someone else who's done exactly that thing, because A, I'll listen to them because I respect them because they've achieved what I want. And B, is that they'll understand exactly where I need help, and they will have been through that process. Yeah. Same for you, like in terms of, or from a fitness aspect, like getting someone shredded or getting someone to be able to run a marathon, like you know what that feels like. So you can articulate in terms of, okay, when you get to mile 13, your legs are going to feel like they're going to fucking die, but this is what
you're in trouble then if it's at 13
or 17 or whatever. You just need to keep going. If I was at mile 3, I'd be fucked. But whatever it is, you just need to keep going. You can articulate that because you've been through that process.
Yeah. Do you know what? Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't want to forget this, right? This is something that I'm goddamn passionate about, right? And you know me, right? One of the reasons I wanted to work with you is because you had done what you do, right? You had done it. You had built a fitness business. You had built a 7-figure fitness business, right? You knew how to do it, right? I'm the same. We coach guys like marathons, track racing, Olympic, everything, right? Everything I've done, right? You see guys these days all over, It's like I used to say, would you go to the toothless dentist to get your teeth done? No, you wouldn't. So why are you going to this guy? He hasn't even run a marathon. You're asking this guy for advice, marathon advice? He ain't even done 10K. You know what I mean? These guys are all over the place. Same as like fitness. Oh, I'm going to build you a 7-figure business. What have you built yourself? No. And
the same thing, even I had the same thing with like fitness coaches listen to this. If you want to help guys like be jacked and be tanned or whatever, be jacked and be tanned, and they'll look up to like, because then it's proof of concept. You obviously know something that they don't know because you've achieved what they want. Yeah. And that's the reality, is there's too many people who are trying to teach without actually knowing how to do it themselves. And there's one thing that's really, I was actually thinking about this in the car on the way here, is that the difference in particular with business between theory and application is completely fucking different. The amount of things theoretically I think is a great idea. Yeah. When you try and do it, it's a shit show. It just doesn't work.
Congratulations, you read several books.
Yeah.
But you can't fucking apply it yourself. What good are you to me, And
that's where I actually think fundamentally education is flawed now, because education has become a game of memory retention, whereas we actually don't need that anymore. You've got any fucking answers to anything you want on your smartphone straight away, and ChatGPT can write you anything you want anyway. So why do you need a university degree in English, for example? Because it's almost irrelevant in a lot of respects. And that's where I think the most important skills people need are actual personal development skills, and then the ability to think critically about situations that are in front of them.
Yeah, 100%. Totally agree. And the industry is now is saturated with guys that are preaching a message that you can't do yourself. I'm certainly keeping it PG, but I look across the board, and do you know what drives me a little bit? Fucking drives me, right? I see guys, right? I see guys like coaching guys, right? Incorrectly, and I know people. Look, everyone is trying to do their best, right? And they're taking people's money for something fuck all about. And that drives me to get out and get after it, because I need to look after these people to a degree, because like these people are paying hard on money, to guys that, guys haven't, like, you see a fella talking about building a chest. Man hasn't even built a chest. He's taking some other guy's money. I'm like, what? I need to help this fella. I need to get in there, But that's right. You're never going to win that battle, but it's just to be aware of it, isn't it?
And you get the same thing. I get the same thing with business, where I see people preaching the exact opposite of what I would do. So like one of the things I think a lot of the time is like, if I had to start from scratch again, what would be the process of what I would do next?
And what would it be?
Okay, so what would
if we took everything off you?
Okay, if no one knew I had to start again, what I would do...
And no one knew Charlie Johnson.
Yeah, I'd get in the fucking best shape possible.
Yeah.
I'd focus on just making viral content, and I'd create as many conversations as possible. And then I would also find clients I could coach for free, get fucking insane results, showcase those results. Yeah. I reckon within 3 months I could get to 10K a month, probably less.
I know you could.
Actually, probably in a month, I reckon.
What do you think the most important thing there is?
Number one,
social proof?
social proof and practicing what you preach, because when you practice what you preach and you become your own hero and superstar, you then are authentic and people will look up to you. Whereas if you're a bag of bones yet you're trying to help people go from average Joe to Superman, like, it ain't gonna fucking work. And it's the same thing in terms of business principle. If like you say you want to help people do X, Y, but you haven't done it yourself, you don't have to be Elon Musk, but like you have to have proof of concept. You understand how this works to do it. Otherwise, how can you teach it? And one of the most rewarding things for me for fitness and for business, which I find most mentally stimulating, is actually teaching now, because you only really understand something when you can teach it to someone else. And that's a completely different thing than applying it yourself. And also learning how to articulate things so people can understand them and implement them.
So I mean, you just go back to that in terms of social proof, and you know, obviously you said, look, is being in incredible shape yourself. How important do you think for people, this is again for people looking to get up, is having the set of results? Because why I'm coming at this is because yes, you can be in incredible shape, right? Charlie Johnson can be in incredible shape. But how are you going to get me in shape? You know, I mean, that's where the social proof comes in. So how heavily weighted do you put that these days?
I would say that's probably number one. Number one and number two. Number one is how you look. You don't have to be jacked. You have to be like, you can't be overweight and be a fitness trainer, right? Like your own working billboard. And then number two would be social proof of other people. And again, it doesn't have to be to like bodybuilding clients. It just has to be to the people you're trying to help, because all people want is reassurance that you've achieved the goal that person wants with someone else. And then, oh, look, you worked with Adam. He was also 5 stone overweight and was a banker. I'm sure Charlie could also help me as well. And the best mindset you can have is trying to have the mindset of using clients to acquire more clients. When you get into that thought process, it's then just a matter of how good a result can you get with that client. And fitness is the best for that, because if, for example, you were 5 stone overweight, you lose 5 stone in 4 to 6 months, for example, you go into work and it's like, what the fuck is happening to you? Oh, I'm working with this guy. That's what happened to me at the beginning, because I was killing it, such good results to people. People like, how are you doing this? And I'm like, oh, I'm working with Charlie. You should reach out to him.
Word of mouth.
And that's all you have to focus on doing, is building a great product, great community, and leading by example. And then it's that expression, is like, if you build it, they'll come.
How would you look at people starting off and taking clients for free to build?
I think that's what I did. So I found people.
How many?
A handful, maybe. I do like one a month, one every 2 weeks. So like, people are too proud, right, to work for free. So like for me, I take fucking loads of them.
Do you handpick them, like people knowing that you can?
Yeah, and then some I wouldn't. So like, but a lot of the people who I would do for free would end up signing for a coaching program. So I could offer them a free month, and then they start and they're really happy. Because if you say, for example, you join a coaching program, you lose 2-3 kilos in the first month, and you're like, oh, I hope you enjoyed the trial, Shane. Would you be interested in working with me? I'm not going to say no, are they? If they've got another like 10 kilos to go. So it's actually a great strategy to acquire clients. And if you've got the time and haven't got many coaching clients, what have you got to lose?
Yeah, totally agree. Because that came up actually recently. I was asked a question by somebody, and they said, would they recommend taking on clients like at a lower price? It's a successful business, dropping down. Again, the ego thing comes in. You have to. You take this person in, you might have multiple other referrals,
No, that's the thing. Like, we've had clients refer us, probably a couple of them spring to mind, maybe 30 grand's worth of fitness coaching business from one client, because we've done such a good job with them. They tell all their friends sign up, you get more clients off their friends as well, and it's like a merry-go-round and snowball effect. And I think unless you get the first client at the beginning and do a good job with them, then you're not going to get the start of the process. And also, if you're a new online coach or your business isn't growing that quickly, the more clients you have, actually the easier it is to acquire clients, because you've got more stuff to share, more social proof to share. Like, we have so many results coming through. We probably get 5 or 6 transformations a day. I can't share them all. Like, I just bombard my social media.
You're good at it, to be fair. They're coming up on the newsfeed.
But that's what you want to be. The point is, you have so many results coming out that then people just naturally come into you.
Undeniable.
And that's the goal of, for me, the weird goal I have with everything is that I want to tick all the boxes, so then like unquestionably I know what I'm doing. So like, okay, you got Monster Fitness business, you also compete in bodybuilding, you jacked and tanned, you also then you understand business coaching, you understand financing, investing, like properties, crypto, all that other shit. Like, there's no reason you can't do all of that, and the only reason people think you can't is because of their own limitations.
Do you know what this is? I love this point as well, because again, this is something we spoke about. in depth about undeniable. And I think to a degree, when you're in the position that we are and you're kind of leading from the front of your own business and you're putting yourself on social media, right? You have to have that element of undeniability, you know, because people will question, you know, people will attack you, you know. Instagram is a mind full of keyboard warriors. That's just the way it is. So to be in incredible shape, to have an incredible business, to, you know, to be inspiring these people, have the community, to be invested in crypto, to be financially secure, come at me. You know, come the fuck at me. You know, what are you coming at me with? You know?
And I think that's one of the reasons I actually delayed off the business side of stuff for so long, is because I wanted to be at the point that it was unquestionable. I obviously knew what the fuck
No
I was
one
doing.
can question you, yeah.
Like, I know what the fuck I'm doing, so it's like, it's irrelevant. You can say whatever you like. And for me, that's my passion, is helping people, and it always has been for fitness and for business, because one of the most important things you need to understand, if anyone listening to this, is you don't know what you don't know. And like, I can say one thing to someone that completely changes their world. And for me, it's nothing, but life is a game of skill acquisition. And the more knowledge and awareness you have of what's around you and what's going on, the further you can advance in life and the quicker. And that comes down to what you know, who you know in your network.
Yeah. Reaching out for help, you know. And people are very slow to do, because people, like some people in positions, they feel like, yeah, I know it all, and it's coming down a step. And it's so important. And I don't think, Charlie, we would be where we are now without getting help, you know, from people,
100%.
you know, like yourself, who are just there to bring to look at what we don't know. You know, I'm good at training. I'm good at training people. I'm good at coaching. The rest of it, I need help. You know, I need someone to guide me. You know?
And it's the same for me. So I always openly say I'm a product coaching. I was staging it 5 years ago, and I've done what I've done very quickly, because I've worked with probably 6, 7, 8 different mentors in different specific fields.
Taking bits from everyone.
To learn different skills from everyone. And I'm now in a process where I'm thinking, okay, who do I go to next to get to what I need next? The bigger your business gets, the more complicated it gets to some respects of what is the next thing I really need. And that's the point I'm at now, is in terms of more I know what I need to do, I just need to execute it in like attention to detail, and have what is the most important thing is actual thinking time, because everything you have right now in your life is because of your own thoughts. So Hybrid Physique Project, your business, is because you sat, thought, and came up with an idea of that. The more time you have to sit and think about where am I going, what am I doing, and why am I going to build this business, and how is this going to look like, what should I do next 12 weeks, the better your business, the better your life will become.
Yeah, thinking time. And you know what? It's so hard, because there's so much noise out there. There's so many things happening, and I certainly, you know, sitting down on my own, having a little bit of time and being able to think, where are we going next? What's the pathway? What's the goal? How are we going to get there? What do I need help with? You know, where do we need support in different areas? Without that thinking time, you know, some days I go lock myself in the room away from Joanna, and she goes out, you know, and just total focus. What would you say the number one thing that you did over the last 5 years that got you where you need to be?
Put me around other people who were doing more than me. So I was the bottom of the run.
But yeah.
And for me to see what was possible. So shout out to my friend Frank. You also know Frank, he spoke at the Mastermind event. Yeah. I found out how much he was doing, what he was doing. I was like, holy fucking shit, this is what's possible. Yeah. Because most people don't realize what's possible in fitness.
Next question, yeah.
And when you know what's possible, you're like, holy shit. Like, I need to put my fucking foot to the floor and really go for this, because there's so much more I can do. Yeah. And that's the reality. It's then eye-opening. And then when you're in a group or a network, a community where other people are striving for that, you then push and pull each other up to that level. And that's the most important thing for people to understand, is you become the sum of the people who are around. So for me, the biggest thing that's helped me get to where I've been is always asking for help. Like, I still ask people for help all the fucking time now. And the moment you think you know everything, you know nothing.
You know what? I'm going to laugh, right? The one thing that hit home about you, right? This is before we started working together. Was we were at a business event. This is before I knew you, and there was talks from maybe someone like Frank. I can't remember. I think Frank was speaking at the event. And Charlie Johnson, he couldn't miss the haircut up top. He was taking notes. He was the only fellow up there taking notes. I was like, why? And everyone else is just sitting back, just nodding, having a coffee. This motherfucker's up here taking notes, asking questions. I was like, is he not that fellow who, you know, did number one fitness, still learning, asking questions, looking for help? I was like, we need to be doing more here, you know. We need to be doing a hell of a lot more.
The number one thing that will hold everyone back is ego.
Ego.
And I was getting like that probably.
Do you think it's a confidence thing? Do you think people who lack confidence have that?
Yeah,
because it's easy to pretend to be confident, right? It's so easy. It really is. But you think people who maybe lack that inner confidence put up this, this egotistical side, and if they were truly confident, they'd say, "Hey, dude, can you help me?"
Because then you're open and you're showing vulnerability. Like I say all the time to people, I fucking struggle with stuff. I struggle with stuff now sometimes. A lot of it's because I've got sometimes too much on my plate and I'm trying to spin too many things, and you end up dropping a couple of plates because you try and do too much. And I think that's the biggest thing I think I've learned is like no one's going to criticize you for asking for help. And the most important thing is people asking for help. That's one thing I ask people in the mastermind more is like, ask for help more, because I don't know how to help you unless you ask.
Yeah.
And my favorite saying, you would have heard me say this a million times, is like a genius doesn't have great answers, he asks great questions. Because the better the question you ask, the better the answer you're going to get.
Yeah.
And then the more knowledge you're actually going to get that's specific to you. So that's the key thing. And your life will only become the sum of the questions you ask of yourself and to other people. And the more you think like that, the further you'll get ahead and the faster you'll get ahead.
Yeah. How much do you think that people, I suppose, don't understand what the possibilities out there? They limit their what is achievable. I was that person, I believe that the most money you can make, the most clients, the most success you can have, the most life of freedom, of abundance, of, I don't think people understand what they can achieve, until they're in certain circles. It's unfucking unlimited what you can achieve.
It's as much as you want and as hard as you want. But the most important thing is, and this is what I say to people all the time, it's not what I tell you to do, it's what I tell you not to do sometimes. Because people can go off down the merry-go-round doing something they shouldn't be doing. I've had that conversation with you about a few things recently, and it's like you need to sometimes narrow your vision and focus on 2-3 things rather than getting distracted. And if you think like where you could be in 6 to 12 months of really hard focused work, if you just focus on 1 to 2 things, which comes back to what I spoke about earlier of like writing down my goals every day, that's what's going to get you ahead.
I couldn't agree more. Genuinely.
What would you say from your own progression in the industry has been the biggest thing that's helped you?
Within the industry? I think, I think getting more confident. I think, like, for me, a couple of things. Number one, like I'll always talk about turning around and getting help, right? That's progressed me massively, right? Number two is taking action, right? Taking fucking action, because we can all think about things. But I think really kind of working on my own self-development. I think, for me, and people probably would be surprised, like I wasn't the best guy in camera. Probably still not, but that was one of the things that kind of helped me to really kind of progress, is like getting on YouTube, talking the stories, engaging with people. It's something I kind of, I lacked, I suppose. I just was untrained at it, just building my own working on myself a little bit more, because I had the knowledge, I had the information, I knew how to get people in shape, but it's just getting out there a small bit. And I think so many people are stuck in that position where they have all this great ideas and thoughts, and they just can't put it out there, and you have to not care what anyone thinks. And that was a big thing that actually at the start kind of held me back a little bit. Be careful about what people thought, Now I'm like, I don't give a fuck, you can like me or not, but this is what I do.
And I think that's the important thing, is like information without implementation is pointless.
Yeah.
Like you get paid for execution, so in everything in life.
Yeah.
Like it's end results is what anyone gives a shit about. So if like you want a successful fitness business, all you've got to think about is how do you get clients' results. Yeah. If you do that, your business will end up being a success because of referrals and the results you produce, and it's the same with everything in life.
Yeah, and that's another thing, I suppose. Apart from that, I suppose it's the social proof that the clients that we have worked with, we've had some amazing transformations that people see that has accelerated, because people see what's possible. People see what's possible, and it just grows.
100%. In terms of what your plans are for the future, do you think you'll be in Dubai for good?
Do I think I'll be in Dubai? I think I'll always have a foothold in Dubai. I think it's busy. It's like 10 years when I'm heading for 50. I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to have, I think over the next 18 months, what we're going to do is look to buy purchase property within Dubai. Probably the next 12 months, I think. Next year, I think I've started looking now. I want to buy a property here and have a foothold here. Like home is always ardent for me. Home is always ardent. Ideally, I'd love to work between Dubai, Ireland, and maybe Spain. But I think like at this moment in time, I can't see like a long-term future without Dubai to some degree in it.
It has an addictive.
It
has an addictive nature to it in some respects.
Oh, it's hard. Like, I love going home, and I go home for a week and I'm like, it's great. I walk down with no earphones on, I hear sheep, tractors. I'm like, this is amazing. And then I'm like, right, I need to get back. I'm missing out on things. There's so much going on. And it has an addictive,
Pool.
Yeah, big time. Do you see yourself long term?
Yeah, I can't really see where else in the world I would go, to be honest with you. And I think I'd probably be like spend half the year here, half the year somewhere else.
Yeah.
But Dubai is a very welcoming place, and I think for everyone it offers a lot. So I think if you're like an online entrepreneur, it's
Amazing.
It's like the holy grail of places you can go. So Dubai is, if you have an online fitness business, it's the best place in the world you can go. You've got no tax. It's amazing for collaborations, amazing gym. The weather's insane.
Tanned all year.
You can be tanned all year. Yeah. Like you've got a reason to be in shape all year because you can go to the beach all year. Like that's the key thing that's actually going to help you level up is just being in a like. The average, what's seen as acceptable in Dubai is much higher, right? So here I feel like I'm the fucking bottom of the run. Like I need to like
yeah.
I drive around in my building like parking my cars like Bugatti, like about 10 Rolls Royces. I'm like, fuck, I need to work a bit harder.
And you know that guy's inside there going, that motherfucker there's got a yacht. What's he doing? I need to get in with this guy.
I look out my window and there's fucking super yachts everywhere. I'm like, fuck's sake. Or like,
I'm not doing enough.
Yeah, or like I went on my friend Matt's boat the other day and I was like, fuck's sake, like, and I need to like,
I need a boat.
Yeah, I need to pull my finger out, and that's what you need is these awakenings of what's possible, and that's what you don't get when you live in the countryside of Surrey or Ireland.
You don't. Do you think it's easy to lose or on yourself here? You get caught up in it, like I need a faster car, I need a bigger.
I actually think it doesn't in some respects because
do you feel you need to be controlled, and that
because I think you know you're going to end up playing a game you can't win, right? Because like you're never going to be the fucking flex on people in Dubai because you've got a Lambo, but then someone's got one that's worth $1 million more or something. So it's like you're not going to be able to play that game, or like everyone's got a fucking G-Wagon. So it's
that's the thing. The G-Wagon's like a bloody Toyota Corolla. Everybody has one. If you've got a G-Wagon,
it's and that's an important thing. I think the final piece I'd give advice for anyone is like when you start making money, don't be fucking retarded with it. The most important thing is putting that to use so that it compounds for you. So an interesting story, when I was in the Maldives, I actually made more from investments than I did from my businesses.
Did you?
Because I had like a load of rent come in from a property I had. Crypto market went up shitloads. Yeah, crypto market went up like shitloads. I had a load of Bitcoin, so it went up like 10-15% when I was away.
I got flame this morning from Coinbase. You get flame?
What's that?
They gave me like 10,000 pieces of flame. I
don't know. I have
just popped up my thing. I was like,
I'll take it whatever it is. But and that's an important thing is like if you're looking for financial freedom and safety, you need to think about the compounding effect of your money when you put it to use. So rather than dumping 100 grand into a supercar, you put 100 grand into a property, and then that pay you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and it's sometimes hard to do it here because there's so much going on. There's so many distractions. There's so many material objects that waste your money with.
And that's where it's about everything in life is about delayed gratification. So with business,
the longer you can.
You grind fucking hard, you don't see the reward for a while, and then the rewards start to come. Then when you have the rewards, when you have money, the most difficult thing is not fucking losing the money and spending it straight away.
Yeah.
So delayed gratification of putting that money to work, and then in 5 to 10 years, you can start spending some of that money. And that's the process where people aren't willing to be patient.
Yeah. Do you think people starting are very much inclined to fall into that trap?
100%.
And not invest maybe in the mentorship that they need? Or
I think that's the biggest mistake. Like, I'll give a fucking great example. I remember speaking to someone here who was an online fitness trainer. He would give it Billy Big Balls about how successful he was. I spoke to him on the phone. He couldn't afford 1 month of coaching in the mentorship, and then he was worried he's going to have to go back to the UK because he doesn't have any money. And then I looked on social media the next day, and he was in like Buddha bar spending like 200 quid on a meal. And I was like, this is fundamentally the issue you have. Like you swan around the gym with a Louis Vuitton bag and all this other bullshit, but you don't actually put your money where you need it.
Gym with a Louis Vuitton bag.
Yeah, it's like,
come on, do one.
And that's fundamentally where people's principles are wrong, because the most powerful thing you can have in life is information, and knowledge. The more knowledge you have, the more information you have, the more you'll be able to earn. And the expression is you have to learn to earn. Yeah. The more you learn, the more you earn. It's a vicious cycle of that, then accelerating.
Yeah. And you know, it's one trap I stayed out of. You know, I always I suppose when we were coming up through the ranks, I'd always make sure we invested in the right mentorship, the right support system, even if it meant, you know, pushing everything in. I suppose it pays back, you know, it pays back. And that's, you know, if anyone is thinking, how can I get further up the line, is invest in yourself, your own self-development, mentorship, help, you know, invest in the business, put it all back into the business. I'd be happy to put every cent I have into the Hybrid Physique project for the next 3 years. If it's going to get me to what I have visualized for it, no problem.
And that's the important thing for people to understand is you can learn, I can teach someone one thing that you then compoundly earn from that for the next 10 years. Yeah. So what's that worth to you?
Yeah.
And that's where people aren't willing to do that. Yeah. What would you say to anyone, obviously you've been on the mastermind for a while, who's sitting on the fence about asking for help?
If anyone that's sitting on the fence, You have to do it. Like, do you want it or not? Like, do you want to progress your business? That it's as simple as that, you know. If anyone's sitting on the fence, they don't want to. They don't want to build that business. I believe, you know. I would certainly say that we wouldn't be like, for us, things have absolutely accelerated since last November, since we started working with you. It's a plug there, but genuinely, right? And I mean that, right? Things have gone from, you know, third gear to sixth gear, because we've reached out, we've invested in help, right? We wouldn't be where we are unless we got help. That's as simple as that. You know, the mastermind has pushed us to a next level. It has, right? And there's no doubt about that. If somebody's sitting on the fence, it depends. What are your priorities? It depends what your priorities. If you want to build that business, if you want to live that life of abundance, if you want to have that, you know, 10 years time, you know, 50 people working for you, if you want to have a phenomenal, you know, business, then you have to do it. Like, you know, do it, jump in, you know. Best decision we made. And like I said, without mentorship through the years, not just, you know, me and yourself, but previous mentors that we worked with, we wouldn't be where we are. That's as simple as that, you know.
And I'm exactly the same.
You know,
I'd say is
back in Cork.
Success loves speed. Like,
Success loves speed. I'll give you an interesting one, actually. When we sought our first mentor, we had 4 clients. That was it. The first 4 clients, I was like, oh, we need help. So it was in the first 3 or 4 weeks. I was like, we need help. You know, people wait years and years and years. I'm like, the faster you can fucking do this, the faster you're going to get up there. Success loves speed.
And that's what you're doing, is you're buying knowledge to speed to move ahead quicker. Yeah. And actually the more difficult thing is, like, I get to the point now, it's like, not I know everything, I would never say that, but it's then like, who knows what I don't know that I need next? And that's then a more difficult thing to then try and ascertain. Yeah. And that comes down to personal development skills, a lot of that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, go for it, man. No doubt.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time, Shane. Where's the best place for anyone to find out about you and what you do, the hybrid project?
So I'm sure this handle will be linked below. I am Shane O'Sullivan on Instagram, at Hybrid Physics Project on Instagram. That's pretty much it, yeah. Link will probably be stuck in the end of this. If you want to reach out, what we deal with is building leaner, stronger, more athletic human beings. That's where we are. So if you want to get leaner, more athletic, stronger, you know where we are.
Awesome, thank you. If everyone enjoyed the episode of the Physically Jacked Financially Stacked podcast, make sure you subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, check out Shane. If you are looking for help to build your online fitness business, drop me a message on Instagram at Charge Order Fitness or at 7 Figure Scaling Systems with the word scale to find out how we can help you. And see you next episode soon.